Luckily, this time, I have a partner with level 100 on my side. Well, Hello YouTube and welcome to my new challenge. This time, we're going to face Pokemon X's toughest challenge possible. Cutscenes. Also, all the enemies will be at level 100. And with my previous experience, my regrets are high and morale is low. So let's get right into it. To quickly go over the rules, all trainers will have their Pokemon at level 100, fully evolved, with updated movesets. If I manage to make it to the Elite Four, their moveset will remain the same. But let's see if I can make it out of my hometown first. We start this nightmare with our first rival battle against a level 100 Greninja. If you'd like to watch the full battle, feel free to join my Patreon. But without spoiling anything, I got destroyed. After losing the fastest rival battle you'll ever see, we encountered our first roadblock. This trainer over here. A level 5 versus a level 100? Huh, I've faced worse. Alright, I caught and leveled up a few Scatterbugs because at level 9 they learn Protect, in order to prepare for this battle. Next comes the praying part. In one of my attempts, I noticed that he can go for Belly Drum, for some unknown reason that does not make any sense. But regardless, I try to take advantage of that. I will reset until he uses it so that I can use Leech Seed. Funnily enough, even though the battle seems like it's not in my favor, once he does that, the battle is over for him. With half his HP already gone, all I need to do now is waste time. And my plan did not work, because it turns out he has rest. So I came up with a better idea. Could you move a little bit? Alright, new plan. I add a Pidgey to my team and get it to learn Sand Attack at level 5. Now, instead of starting with Leech Seed, I use Sand Attack while waiting for it to use Belly Drum, rest, sleep for a couple of turns, and maybe get a 5th or a 6th Sand Attack if it misses an attack or two. This is only the start. With Linoon's dropped accuracy, I wait for Pidgey to go down, then bring out Chespin to use Leech Seed and hope Linoon keeps on missing. Only then the battle starts for me. Just a kid with 4 bugs, a half-blinded Linoon, and a dream. After several in-game hours, I was able to defeat... What's your name again? This nobody over here. Next we head to the forest where I catch a Caterpie and a Pikachu. I also caught a Weedle for later. The only forest trainer in the Centaloon forest was a little easier. As long as her Pokemon Raichu doesn't electrocute my Chespin with Thunderbolt, or do anything other than Tail Whip, I can use Leech Seed and then waste time with Protect. We had to defeat another trainer with a Linoon, so that wasn't fun, before heading to the gym. And this is when things get complicated again. Because 1, you can't leave the stupid gym once you enter. Great game design, by the way. Luckily, losing is the only thing we do well on this challenge, so that's not a huge problem. The first forest trainer in the gym has not 1, but 2 level 100 Pokemon, Beedrill and Vespiquen. Beedrill has all strong attacking moves, except for Endeavor. Vespiquen has 2 moves that don't deal damage, Swagger and Destiny Bond. So each on their own can be defeated, but together in one battle, it's really difficult. In fact, I can't beat this trainer just yet. I go back and catch a Dunsparce and a Fletchling, then fought the optional trainers that I can defeat. Thanks to how experience is shared between my team in Gen 6, with 1 level 100 Pokemon, I was able to get Dunsparce to level 14, evolved my Chespin, and got one of my Vivillans to learn Supersonic. By the second trainer, I was able to evolve my Fletchling and ready to try the gym again. Let's see if I stand a chance this time. The first battle turned out to be a lot tougher than I thought. Her Beedrill never goes for Endeavor, so I have to come up with something different. That's why I have a Fletchling, because of its ability Flame Body. All of Beedrill's attacks are contact moves. Now we pray. I didn't get any double protects on any of my spell paths in this attempt, but Beedrill did go for Endeavor when it was low, so that made up for it. 1 down, 1 to go. I switch for Quilden as she switches. There's a 50% chance she doesn't go for an attacking move, otherwise I have to reset. Unlucky. I try again, and after several attempts, I was able to get it. I learned that Beedrill will only use Endeavor once its HP is lower than the opponent's, so I started sending out my Vivillans sooner instead of keeping them last. This made it possible to defeat Beedrill while only sacrificing 1 spell path, increasing my chances of defeating Vespiquen. Battling Viola is actually easier. Her Masquerade can start with Whirlwind, so not only do I go first, but I get a free switch after using Leech Seed. And that is a perfect start for me. Stalling out her Masquerade after that is easy. Next is her Vivillon, and it only has 1 attacking move, so the chances of landing Leech Seed safely is a lot higher. And with that, we win the first badge, and for all I know, it might be the only badge we can get. Next we get the most controversial item in Gen 6, the XP share. Now all my team can get experience whenever we take down a level 100 Pokemon, which will definitely help in the later sections of the game. We have a lot to do, but first we start by getting destroyed by the Professor. Luckily we don't have to win this battle. One person in this room is an evil person. I'll let you take a guess who that is. Yep, it's that lady taking the whole couch for herself. Next I get the item Quick Claw, evolve my Caterpie to Butterfly, and skillfully dodge the double battle by depositing all my team. Ha! You can't touch me! Then realized there's a rival battle right after them, so I had to go back to get my team and fought them anyways. I caught a Gulpin, leveling it up with my Caterpie and Weedle versus trainers with 1 Pokemon. Because thanks to Quick Claw, I don't have a problem against any of them, including the upcoming rival battle. The only problem now is the double battle I'm getting ready for. The reason I'm shifting away from Leech Seed is because in this gen, the enemy doesn't get hit if it kills you. So that's less damage than a regular status like Poison or Burn. After a lot of resets, I was able to win it by landing Toxic on Minoon thanks to Quick Claw and Poison Powder on Plusle. The battle is mostly decided based on how the first turn goes. Swallow with Encore, Yawn, and Toxic is a great addition to my team, and against enemies with single Pokemon, like in this rival battle here. But I still need to figure out what can I do against teams with more than 1. Next we dodge trainers like our lives depend on it, and get the TM Protect. TMs in Gen 6 can be relearned, so I'm no longer forced to use a team full of Vivillans, and just on time, because the next upcoming battle is going to be really tough, and almost straight out impossible if it weren't for 2 Pokemon that happen to be in the wild, Smeargle and Shedinja. Welcome to my Did You Know segment. Did you know? Finding Smeargle in the wild doesn't just mean you can catch it, but that you can teach it almost any move that you want? Step 1. Catch a Smeargle. Step 2. Train a Pokemon with the move that you want, if it's not in the wild already. Step 3. Battle Smeargle again, and this time, start with said Pokemon, and use the new move. Step 4. Bring out your own Smeargle, and hope the move you want to learn doesn't kill you in one shot. Step 5. Profit. This was my Did You Know segment. Feel free to subscribe to no longer see them in the future. With that, I get Smeargle with the move Toxic and Toxic Spikes. After that, I catch an Incada and evolve it to get a Shedinja. Because next is the first double battle against the rivals. I start with my Smeargle holding Quick Claw to get it to use Toxic Spike, followed by Toxic on Crawdaunt. I need to prioritize Crawdaunt because it can attack my Shedinja with Crunch. Once Crawdaunt is down, I can safely attack with my Shedinja and use Sand Attack to lower Raichu's accuracy. Then, hope I can swap to any of my Pokemon with Poison Powder or Toxic to get it poisoned. Once I land it, the battle is over, because they don't have any Pokemon that can attack my Shedinja. Florges comes out to the Toxic Spikes. It will keep using Wish, so I still have to waste a few turns, but the fight is eventually over. You would think that with Serena's level 100 team, it would be easy, but both her Pokemon die early on in the battle and don't stand a chance against Raichu and Crawdont. All I hope to do is get both of them poisoned while she's getting destroyed, so they can at least be a good distraction. This was truly one of those moments that made me question if the challenge is even possible, but I'm glad we made it through. Next is the Team Flare section, and I had to rely on Leech Seed, and in some close fights, Flame Body to get them burned, but nothing extremely difficult, until I reached the double battle. This took more than a few attempts, but it was a lot easier than the last double battle we had with the rivals. With that out of the way, we head to the next gym. We don't have to fight any gym trainers, so we challenge Grant right away. In this one, I don't start with Smeargle. The best start I can get is if I get Quick Claw and Grant decides to go for the overkill with Hyper Beam. Because this means that not only do I get Aurora's poisoned, but I can also bring out my Smeargle next turn to use Toxic Spike, guaranteeing Tyrantrum, his next Pokemon, gets poisoned as well. Then we waste time with Shedinja and Protect until he surrenders the second badge, because even though he can attack Shedinja with Tyrantrum, it can't last long enough against the poison. Alright, things are going well so far, and we didn't get completely stuck yet. But the challenge is going to get harder, and we have several tough battles that I'm worried about. Also, I need to avoid battling Sigilyph, Rio Necklace, or Clefables with Magic Guard at all costs. We get randomly challenged by Korrina on our way to the next town. Her Lucarios are a problem, because they can't get poisoned. And for some reason, one of them Mega Evolved. So let's pretend that wasn't totally a bug. It gets worse, because both of them have extreme speed, so even Quick Claw is useless. I had to rely on Shedinja for this battle. I use Sand Attack to lower their accuracy, and wait for extreme speed to run out. Then get them confused with Confuse Ray, before switching to use Leech Seed, or maybe get them burned with Fletchling. One of the hardest things in these challenges are not the tough battles that you can plan for, but the random force encounters you normally forget about. This cute lady over here was an absolute nightmare to deal with. She has 3 Pokemon on her team, and she starts with a Dodrio with the ability Early Bird, so putting it to sleep is useless. It gets worse because not 1, but 2 of her Pokemon can attack my Shedinja, so all my tricks are out of the window. I was stuck on this for a long time. I had to catch a Nidoran and a Wobbuffet, which happens to be in the same cave. I can't rely on Sleep Powder, because Dodrio has Early Bird, so I use Quick Claw to take it down with Destiny Bond. For Gramble, I have to hope I can land Leech Seed, or get it burned or poisoned with Flame Body or Poison Point. This takes care of her Dodrio and her Gramble. Her final Pokemon, Heliolisk, can't attack Shedinja, but unfortunately when I got to it, I only had Shedinja alive, and I can't attack it either. So, in a desperate attempt, I decided to keep getting it confused, and hoped it takes itself down before we start struggling. This is one battle I did not expect to get stuck on, but I'm glad I was able to win it. Fun fact, did you know that Phantom Force attack goes through Protect? So this is a friendly reminder that if you have a Shedinja out against a Phantom Force attack, you no longer do. The rest of the cave was alright. There's a double battle at the end of it, but they can't attack Shedinja. So a regular start with Quick Claw and lowering the accuracy of the second Pokemon almost guarantees the battle. Just don't accidentally Leech Seed your own Shedinja that's keeping you alive so far. We're finally out of the cave and we get a chance to breathe a little. I hate this city already. Welcome to my Did You Know segment. Did you know that male Meowstic has completely different movesets from female Meowstic? So I just made my life a lot more difficult by selecting the male character in the beginning of the challenge. Feel free to subscribe to see me suffer more from random decisions. Meowstic has Fake Out, so I start with Shedinja, then switch to Smeargle. This way, she can only attack me with Sucker Punch, so if I don't use any attacking moves, I'll be fine. With Toxic and 3 Toxic Spikes, the fight can end really fast. Excuse me ma'am, I'm from the nice people of the IRS. Next is Korrina. Again. Miansha likes to start with Bounce. That gives me the chance to use Toxic Spikes, and then bait one of its contact moves to get it burned from Flame Body. After several attempts, I learned to improve my chances even further by baiting her high jump kick, and then switching to Shedinja to make it hit itself, in order to take it down faster without losing any more Pokemon. Miansha goes down, but the battle is not over yet. Her Halucha doesn't get affected by Toxic Spikes because it's a flying type, but it can choose to attack with either Sky Drop or Sky Attack. If it uses Sky Attack, I get a chance to use Toxic or Leech Seed, because it will only hit me on the second turn. If she doesn't, however, I'll have to reset the battle. That only leaves Machamp, but it can't attack my Shedinja, so that's not a threat. Next, we get a very balanced battle between a level 32 Lucario and a level 100, to demonstrate our first Mega Evolution battle that was in fact our second. So, how do I get out of this battle, you say? I just lose. Luckily, we don't have to win this one, and I'm getting really good at losing at this point. Next, I do a big brain move by using a Moonstone to evolve my Nidorino to Nidoking so it can learn Surf. Then, when switching for Lapras, that was a very low encounter rate, only to realize I can just get one by talking to this guy. So let's pretend that did not happen. Next is the 4th Gym Leader, and I get stuck here, because Ramos turns out to be a huge problem. Now that my Smeargle is level 41, I have it learn Destiny Bond, the best star I can get if I use Toxic Spikes, followed by Destiny Bond to take out the first Pokemon as well, and not just get it poisoned with Toxic. Ramos likes to use Bounce with Jumpluff most of the time instead of Giga Drain, so I'm able to use Destiny Bond almost consistently. This strategy did not work, because Ramos sends out Victory Bell next, consuming the Toxic Spikes, and then eventually switches to Go-Go when I bring out Shedinja, because Victory Bell can't attack him. Go-Go can take out my entire team, including my Shedinja, with Aerial Ace, so I always end up losing this. So I decided to use Wobbuffet, which I've been using for a lot of single Pokemon battles, to take down Jumpluff with Destiny Bond. Then hope Quick Claw triggers on Smeargle to use Toxic Spikes on Victory Bell, in order to poison the Go-Go when it switches in. This will eventually lead to Victory Bell as his last Pokemon, which my Shedinja can deal with. However, while I was attempting this plan, Ramos decided to rage quit by using Memento on Jumpluff after failing Bounce, and since I already used Destiny Bond, that made it take down his Victory Bell as well. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but I just took down 2 of his Pokemon with 1 Wobbuffet. Quick Claw did not trigger on Smeargle, otherwise that would have been the easiest gym battle I've had so far. But I did get it burned with Talonflame's Flame Body, and I also lived his first attack, which I was also proud of. This allowed us to take down his Go-Go by wasting turns with Protect, winning us the 4th badge. That's exactly what my progress feels like this challenge. The Team Flare section was annoying, but not too challenging. I took the opportunity to level up and evolve some of my Pokemon that might come in handy later. After that, we're free to challenge the 5th Gym Leader. Klima has 3 Pokemon, 2 if you count my Quick Claw into Destiny Bond strategy, so Emolga's out of the equation. He likes to prioritize Zap Cannon on Magneton and Thunder on Heliolisk, and with their inaccurate chances of hitting, it was enough for my Venusaur to use Leech Seed and take both of them down by wasting turns using Protect and Sleep Powder. Getting the 5th badge is huge, but what we unlock next is even huger. We get 2 TMs, Toxic and Will-O-Wisp, and boy do these moves make life easier for me. Now my Shedinja can poison or burn any Pokemon that can't attack it, without having to rely on Toxic Spikes or switching. Will-O-Wisp is great against Steel and Poison types, so I teach Toxic and Will-O-Wisp to almost every Pokemon that can learn it. With those 2 moves, I can take down trainers easily, as you can see with Valerie here. With that, I can focus on building a team for the late game, and I start by getting the Lucky Egg because I need to get my Smeargle to level 100. For all the double battles, I start with Lapras to utilize Quick Claw into Purr Song. Things are looking better, and I'm coming up with consistent plans for every challenge I face. On our way to dominate the rest of the region, we catch a Litwick and a Hunter. Not even a little bit. The rival, Serena, adds a Jolteon to her team, but it adds no threat to my Shedinja, and I just wait for it to die to the poison. Then we challenge Olympia. If it weren't for Destiny Bond, this battle would have been really difficult, because Olympia starts with one of the scariest Pokemon I could face in this challenge. A Sigilyph with Magic Guard. Her Meowstic can only attack me with Sucker Punch, which I'm aware of, so I never go for an attacking move. And Slowbro can't attack me at all, so the 7th badge is now ours. This is the part of the game where the plot thickens, and the Team Flare battles become challenging. Here's a summary of how I deal with Lysander, so that I save us all the time of having to explain the next 50 times we battle him. With the exception to his Gyarados, all his team can attack my Shedinja, so it's actually pretty tough. Now that my Pokemon are getting higher in levels, I rely less on Toxic Spikes, because he has many flying mons, and focus more on dealing straight damage. For Mienshao, I attack with the priority move Shadow Sneak when it uses Bounce the first turn, and Protect on the 2nd turn to keep myself safe. Once again I realized I can speed this up by baiting High Jump Kick and switching to Shedinja, since Mienshao will take half its HP down when it misses. The same technique I used with Korrina. His Pyro is a huge problem, and I kept thinking of new ways to defeat it. After many tries, I decided to bait his Overheat by switching to Lapras in order to lower its special attack, then switch back to Wobbuffet because with Pyro's lowered special attack, Overheat won't kill my Wobbuffet and it will allow me to use Miracle to take it down. Alright, new plan. I have to start with Toxic Spikes on Mienshao so that I can get Pyro poisoned. Now, getting it poisoned is great and all, but Pyro can kill my entire team before the poison takes it down. This is when stalling with Lampent comes in handy. Lampent has Flash Fire, so between using Protect, switching in when I predict a fire move, and switching to Lapras when I predict Pyro to use Crunch, I'll be able to stall long enough until it dies to regular poison, allowing me to finally take it down. Wobbuffet can survive Honchkro's attacks, so Destiny Bond can guarantee the kill, or later on counter in some of the other battles. This only leaves Gyarados, and Toxic can take care of it, because it will only use Dragon Dance against my Shedinja until it dies. Mega Gyarados, however, is a problem, because it has Mold Breaker. This final battle against Lysander wasn't easy. The only reason I did not lose this time is because Gyarados went for Rain Dance on its first turn. I'm guessing this is an AI bug because at the start of the turn it didn't have Mold Breaker. With the Toxic ramping damage and thanks to Protect on each of my remaining 3 Pokemon, I was down to the last one before his Gyarados died to the last poison damage. I know I take advantage of the AI a lot in battles, but this one was really close. With the world safe again, we start with what's important. Payback time from the Professor. His Venusaur starts with Solar Beam, a deadly move but gives my Wobbuffet a chance to take it down with him. Charizard can't attack my Lampent because it only has fire moves, and Blastoise can't attack my Shedinja. Looks like the table has turned. I'm not even sure if we have to win this battle or we can lose it like the first one, but revenge can be sweet. The next rival battles were an interesting challenge. Taking each of them individually is easy, but the back-to-back battle forced me to optimize my strategy as much as possible in order to make it. Against Shauna, her Greninja is the only threat, but it switches into my Shedinja, so I get a free turn to use Toxic. Stalling is easy, but I still need to make sure to keep my Pokemon alive as long as possible because there is a battle right after, without having a chance to heal. In the second battle, I had to watch out for Talonflame and Crawdaunt, so I would use Counter instead of Destiny Bond to keep my Wobbuffet alive, and use the low health Pokemon for free switches. It wasn't an easy challenge, but we've gone through worse. For some reason I thought Wolfric would be an easy gym battle. You know, a break after all the challenges we've gone through before the Elite Four. but that was not the case. First of all, he starts with Snow Warning, so the hail can take down my Shedinja. So for the next 5 turns, I can't bring it out. Now I have to deal with his Abomasnow and its one-hit KO move, Sheer Cold. So after several resets, I was able to get Quick Claw proc into Destiny Bond. Finally, the hard part is over. I tried again and luckily it missed Sheer Cold against my Talonflame, since it only has 70% chance of landing it due to the level difference, so I was able to get it poisoned. I'm still waiting for the hail to end, so I'm trying to stall as long as I can. With only one Pokemon remaining, I was able to get it poisoned, and waiting for it to go down is not a problem with 4 of my team with Protect still alive. With that, we get all 8 badges, and proceeded further than I ever thought I'll be able to. We still have a challenging road ahead of us, and one last rival battle before we get to the Elite Four. Throughout my battles, I would switch in Smeargle and back out if it's safe to do so, in order to make it reach level 100 as fast as possible. By level 81, I had already replaced all its moveset, keeping Toxic Spikes last. But I needed to be level 100 before I can utilize its one-hit KO move, and I was able to use all the rare candies I can find in order to reach the final levels. Like in most of my level 100 challenges, I'll be keeping the Elite Four movesets exactly the same as the original game, and instead of keeping it random or the last 4 moves a Pokemon learns. So the game doesn't get any easier from this point, but the worst is finally behind us. That made absolutely no sense. I'm gonna start Wickstrom's battle with my Smeargle. The normal one-hit KO move setup has Spore, Agility, Lock-On, and Sheer Cold. Sleep is only 1 to 3 turns in Gen 6, so the chances of getting to use Lock-On followed by Sheer Cold without the opponent waking up is not high enough to make it consistent. In this attempt, I was able to take down Wickstrom's Cliffkey and Aegislash. I also learned that Spore goes through King's Shield, which I thought was like Protect. Probopass has 30, and I'm surprised it wasn't sent second, but I'm not complaining. I bring out Wobbuffet next and use Mirko to take it down to 1 HP. This makes it easy for Shedinja to use Shadow Sneak, which is a priority move, to take it down. That's when I had to deal with his Scizor, the last and scariest Pokemon on his team. But 1 Pokemon versus 6, no way it can take me down. Alright, Scizor is a problem. I need to keep my Wobbuffet at full health, so I had to try again, and this time, I tried putting Probopass to sleep, which didn't really matter because it woke up the next turn, switched to my Lampent, which I was too lazy to evolve, and used Curse to get around Probopass's 30. Then I bring out my Shedinja to try and waste as much time as I can. I don't need Shedinja anymore in this battle, so it's alright if it dies. Next is his Scizor, and I'll bring out my Wobbuffet to use Destiny Bond. Will I be able to survive an attack? Okay, now here is what I decided to do with Scizor. I found out that from full health, Wobbuffet can't survive an attack, so I bring out my Talonflame first. It outspeeds his Scizor, and all I need is for Will-O-Wisp to burn it, lowering its attack stat. Then switch to Wobbuffet to use Destiny Bond, taking down the first elite member, who was a lot more difficult than I expected. Next is Malva. Every single one of her Pokemon can attack Shedinja, so I have to be careful of that. I start with Smeargle again after proccing Quick Claw to try and take down as many of her team as I can before starting the battle. In this attempt, I was able to kill her Pyroar, who woke up on the second turn, but Smeargle survived an attack, and Talonflame, before dying to her Torkoal's Earthquake. With half her team down, I was able to get Torkoal poisoned with Shedinja, and I did a couple of bad decisions that cost my Lampent, Wobbuffet, and Shedinja. I figured I lost this one, but for some reason her Chandelore's AI was broken against my Lapras. It kept going for Confined and Confuse Ray before it decided to attack. Unfortunately, I didn't have Purr Song on Lapras because I replaced it with Strength, but I was honestly only in this fight waiting for my team to die, or maybe Talonflame can do something, but I did not expect to win this with Lapras. Another Elite Four member down, and yet another difficult battle. Drasna's next, and this is when we take a break before things get extremely difficult again. She only has Noivern that can attack Shedinja, and it gets even better because she doesn't start with it. So I start the battle with Shedinja, predict her to switch it in, so I can safely get it toxic poisoned, and then use the normal stalling strat that I've been using throughout this challenge. With no one else on her team posing a threat to my Shedinja, I can easily win this battle. Next is Siebold. Siebold? This one wasn't easy as much as I was really lucky. My investment in Smeargle really paid off in this one. I was able to take down his entire team with Sheer Cold. I think I almost got a Quick Claw proc on every single turn, which I don't even know what are the chances of this happening. All the Elite Four members are down, and each one of them had only 4 Pokemon. The champion is next, and she has a full team of 6. She starts out with Hawlucha, and if my Quick Claw doesn't proc, I die. If it wakes up on any turn during my setup, I die. If anything doesn't go as planned, you guessed it, I die. Hawlucha is one of her only 2 Pokemon that can't attack my Shedinja. But I learned the hard way that I can't bring it out this early in the battle, or I won't have a chance to beat her. More on that later. For now, I decided the best option is to start with Wobbuffet and take her Hawlucha down with Counter. Next is Gourgeist, and I used Talonflame and Smeargle to defeat this one. Smeargle is normal type, so I can avoid the damage from her 2-turn attacking move, Phantom Force. She will use Trick or Treat to turn my Talonflame into Ghost type, then go for the attack. On the second turn, I can have Smeargle use Agility to try and get my setup starting mid-battle. But that doesn't work, because her next Pokemon is Goodra, with the ability Sapsuper. So putting it to sleep with Spore, a grass type move, will not work. I was willing to sacrifice my Smeargle, but I got really lucky as she missed Focus Blast when I went for Lock On. This means I can take her out with Sheer Cold the next turn. You would think I now have the chance to sweep her entire team, but Gen 6 sleep turns struck again, and her Tyrantrum wakes up straight away and kills me. So far, this attempt is going better than I could ask for with that Focus Blast miss, so I'm still going. Time for Talonflame to save the day again. I use Toxic, die, causing Tyrantrum to deal more damage to itself, and then stall with Protect until it dies. This will move us to the final part of the battle, with 2 of her Pokemon remaining, Auroras and Gardevoir. She keeps her Gardevoir last, and thank God that is the case, because Auroras is the second Pokemon that cannot attack my Shedinja. As soon as it switches in, it switches back out as I get a chance to use Toxic on Gardevoir, predicting the switch. I just gave her Mega Gardevoir the ability Wonder Guard, but that is totally worth it since it's now poisoned. If she didn't bring out Auroras first, I honestly don't know what my chances would be like. Now we get to do what we do best, stall. Her Mega Gardevoir takes down my Wobbuffet, and switching in and out between Lapras and Shedinja saves the rest of my team. Not that I need anyone else as long as my Shedinja's alive for her Auroras. With no more ways for her to hit me, the battle was decided once her Gardevoir was poisoned. With that, we beat the game and finally complete the challenge. I really want to thank all of you who have been following my channel for the past couple of years. I know I don't post really often, but I try my best to work on my videos, and I really care about making the best possible videos that I can for you guys. I really appreciate the support. Feel free to subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and see you all next time.